Hello! It is me back for another Xanadu Beautimus video where I get to show you guys how to look fabulous for the musical. I don't know what I'm doing. So this video is going to show you how the base is going to be for the musical. And yeah, I already have my eyebrows on. I already made the video on it, so I just figured I should just skip that step because this video is probably going to be very long anyway. So yeah. Alright, so I already have primed and moisturized my face. I primed by using kind of a sticky primer, and I also used another primer to like fill in my pores right here since I have pretty big pores. So now I'm going to take my damp beauty blender, and I'm going to use my Benefit Hello Happy Flawless Brightening Foundation. We're going to go for a more full coverage foundation because we are on stage. I'm just going to stamp. Blend down the neck. Blend down the neck. Alright, so I think I have bounced it into my skin pretty good. I want to make sure I have it everywhere. Also, if you are the type of person who personally does their eyes first before their foundation, this is not me saying that you have to do your foundation first at all. I also do my eyes first, but this is just me trying to explain the base and just how to get it 80s and stage mixed. If that makes any sense. Next we're going to go with concealer. One of my favorite concealers is the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer. It's very full coverage and it's e.l.f. so it's very inexpensive, and I was like, steal. And so in 80s their under eyes were very white. We are not going to go for a crazy white under eye because on stage this is not going to mix well, but it is brighter than usual, so go with like maybe half a shade or a shade lighter than what you normally use for your concealer. If not, that's okay, just make sure that it's very full coverage. I'm going to highlight right here in the center of the forehead, down the nose, above the lip, and the chin. And I'm going to add spots where I'm breaking out. I also have a vein that I like to cover up sometimes. I'll do that. I look crazy. Next, blend it in. The reason why we're concealing on the nose and on the forehead is we also want to bring those forward. See where the light naturally hits on my forehead right there? We want to bring that a little bit more forward, so when we bronze the face, that way we can make our face look a little bit more, you know, brought to life and not completely dead. And I'm going to bring the concealer onto my nose, just what's left over, like on the sides. I'm going to bring the concealer up on the chin. Now I'm going to go in with the concealer brush and go in right here because I just crease there all the time. I'm going to blend it up a little bit. Beautiful. Now, the next thing that I'm going to personally do is baking, and that's just because I want the concealer to stick as long as possible. If you have extremely dry skin, I do not recommend baking. I just recommend setting it with a more full coverage powder or a translucent powder and a more full coverage concealer. But what I'm going to do is bake my under eye because that's what's going to help concealer lasts longer, and we want it to last as long as possible for the show. I also baked a little bit on my nose, on my chin, basically where we highlighted with the concealer is where we want to bake. I just take a brush because I don't necessarily like baking with a beauty blender because I don't want the powder to soak into the beauty blender and then it not blend the foundation well. The powder, I forgot to tell you, the powder that I am using is Laura Mercier powder, but you do not have to use that powder. My favorite powder from the drugstore is the Maybelline Fit Me. I just don't have it with me, but that is an amazing loose powder. I'm going to powder the rest of my face. Now to make sure that I have powdered every spot, I run my hand across my face and see where I have missed powder. And I just run it really smooth to find more sticky parts. And if it's sticky, that means I forgot to powder right there. I look crazy. Alright, see how my eyes are very white? It's good because they just had very white under eyes for pretty much everybody. For like every skin tone, they had very white under eyes, I've noticed. Now we're gonna go in with bronzer. My favorite drugstore bronzer is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, but I'm not gonna use that right now since it's very broken and I don't want to make a mess. Now I'm gonna go with this mini Tarte bronzer. Just find any bronzer that you think is very suitable for your skin tone. Now what they like to do in the 80s is they really like to keep their contour mainly in the pocket right here. Bronze up that jawline because we want to make sure everybody has a nice snatched jawline on stage. One trick that I actually learned from drag queens is a way to get like a nice good contour. So if you do this action and where the brush naturally goes is basically all you need. Some people go more like that. But for this, we're just gonna keep it right here since the 80s kept their blush and their bronzer all blended out mainly right here. And then if they have dragged it down, they would drag it very far down, but we're not gonna do that. We're gonna keep the bronzer right in the pocket. And kind of blend it around because it blended in with the blush. So we're gonna just blend it around right here. It's gonna look crazy, but that's just because we're combining 80s makeup with stage makeup. Now I'm gonna go on my forehead. I'm gonna go a little bit right here. And you see the difference between my cheeks from like right here and right here. This is very flat, very just one dimension, one color. And see how it has kind of like brought some life back to the face. That's what we want, because with the stage lights, we do not want anybody to look washed out. Right. First I'm gonna pat, and then I go into circular motions to blend it all together. Now, if you have a specific ways that you contour your nose, by all means, go for it, since they did not specifically have a way that they did their noses back then. But if you do not, the way that they more likely did in the 80s, which is what some people still do, if you just want a nice, natural way to bring your nose back to life, just get a little bit on the tip of your brush and just barely put any pressure and just use what's ever left over on the brush, on the bridges of your nose, but barely put any pressure on the brush, just make it go. Because we do not want too much on the nose. I also go a little bit under, because why not? On the chin. Bronzer is done. Next we're going to go in with blush, and I am going to be using multiple different blushes for this. And multiple different blush brushes for this. In the 80s, they had more of pinkier blushes, but it really depends on your skin tone of what kind of pink people were going for. So if you have a more lighter skin tone, I recommend a more pinkier, like very pinky blush, kind of like this. And if you have closer to medium to deep skin tones, go for more of a pinky coral, similar to this. This is a lot more coral than it looks on the pan. It's called Quirky. It's by Tarte. I don't know what this is. It's called It's Not Me, It's My Sign. by Space Case Cosmetics. I've never heard of this. I got this in an Ipsy bag. And I'm going to be showing you the placement of where the blush is because that was the big thing in the 80s where it was. We're also going to mix a little bit of the 70s vibe with it since it's in 1980. That's the time period we're going for. I'm going to go in with a cream blush since this is the closest pinky I have right now. I'm just going to place it right here. And I'm going to blend it in with the contour first. And then I'm going to kind of drag it down. We don't want it all right here. I guess the best place for it to stop would be right where your eye is. And we're going to bring it up a little bit right here. And it's okay if it gets a little bit far up right here because that's where it was. It was everywhere on the cheek. It's okay if it gets a little bit right here, only if it's like blended into it, not just like still a lot of blush right here. If you need to blend your blush, you can just go like this. And then like that. We're going to be putting a lot on. Then we're going to go in with this blush brush. And that has nothing on it, just going to blend it in, make sure it goes in with the contour. Whatever left over on the brush, I'm also going to put on my chin. And blend it in with the eyes a little bit. Because we want the blush and the eyeshadow to kind of blend together though, because it was all very much like that in the 80s. Alright, blend. Going with the Corley. Just put it on top to make it pop a little bit. So much blush, I know. I'm going to put it on my chin. I'm also gonna put it on my nose because I want everybody to look adorable. So I'll let y'all put it on your nose. A thing that I personally like to do for me is I like to put blush on my top lip because I don't know, I just think it looks cute and I think it's like, I don't know, I really like doing it. I don't think we have enough blush on. I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not done. Now I'm going to go in with this Milani Luminoso. It's a blush topper. Well, it's a blush, but I like to use it as a blush topper because it's very shimmery. And I want all of us to have very shimmery cheeks. That way we don't look very matte and flat on stage. Ooh, Cassie has that nice sheen to it. I didn't really change the color, just added some nice sheen. And if all else fails, if it's too much blush, I'll just be like, yo, too much blush. Might be too much, oh god. I'm gonna go with my beauty blender and just go like that. Too much blush, so perfect amount for stage. Alright, next part we're gonna go in with the highlight. Now, highlighting didn't really become a thing until around maybe 2013-14. Jennifer Lopez was actually a big person who made it very big and popular because she's always known for her glowing skin, for being very bronzed and champagne and beautiful. And so in the 80s that wasn't that much of a thing, but we do not want to look like a dry, crusty potato on stage. So I will be showing you the way to do it. One of my favorite highlights, actually not a highlight, it is an eyeshadow from, it's L'Oreal. It's called Ice Latte and I got this at Walmart. It's very broken, but it's a loose eyeshadow and I personally really like to use this as a highlight, but we're not going to go crazy with the highlight since that, again, wasn't a thing. But what we are going to do is we're going to highlight the tip of the nose bridge, and then top of the lip, on the chin. Next with the brush, we're gonna go in and we're just gonna barely tap, like that. And I'm just gonna dust it over my forehead a tiny bit because I don't want our forehead to be really highlighted, but I don't want it to look really dry and flat either. Now I'm going to tap a little bit more. Tap the excess. I'm going to do this weird thing. In the 80s, I really liked a more rounder cheek, which is why they had a lot of blush right here. Makes the cheeks look a little bit more rounder. What I'm gonna do is gonna highlight the center of my cheeks where the blush kind of stops. I know it looks weird. It may feel weird, but it gives a really cute, like a oh type of feel. And it's best to like smile or like make your cheeks go like this whenever you do it. See, it's kind of like a oh I don't know how to describe it. Then I'm going to tap back in, but tap off the excess, just barely tap, and go like. We do not want a lot of highlight, again, because it wasn't that much of a thing. But I don't want you guys to not wear highlight because I love highlight. Kind of go like that. Now I'm going to go back into my blush brush. Make sure everything's blended. Alright, next we go in with the lips. Okay. My favorite lip liners are honestly the NYX lip liners. I know I use a lot of NYX on this channel, but first what I'm going to do is I want to line my lips because I like to create the shape first before I decide the color. So I'm just going to line. Overlining has been a thing for years. So I definitely overlined their lips. But it was just like the regular, they didn't overline it to create like a weird pout or anything. They just mainly overlined their lips just to make it look a tad bigger, but it wasn't like a huge overline thing like it is now, and it wasn't like a different shape that they were trying to create. Going in with a more pinky lip, since pink was just a weird big thing back then. Now, since I'm Mary Grace Whitlock and I'm crazy, I like to go in with the color with a brush first to just to make sure it looks nice. If you have more medium to light tones, go for a more pinkier pink lip. The one that I've been recommending for people is the Cane's, I think Cane's or whatever from NYX is like the perfect everyday pink, and I just think that works better. And if you have a medium to deeper skin tones, go with a more Barbie pink or a hot pink or more coral pink. I look crazy. And I think that is it. Yeah. Wait, no, it's not. Alright. So I have two setting sprays that I like to recommend because these are my top two favorite. One is the Morphe Continuous Setting Mist. You shake it up and it's literally like a hairspray and it just... Oh my god, it's like it perfectly just distributes the makeup on the face perfectly. And my second favorite is the NYX Dewy Finish setting spray. I think that this is perfect because it doesn't make the skin look greasy, which some drugstore setting sprays do. Oh, that is $16. I think this is like $9. But it doesn't make the face greasy like the Milani Dewy setting spray did for me. Like it felt like oil was being sprayed on my face. It's not cute, but this actually makes it look dewy. I think like a natural dewy, which would be really good for stage. That way, again, I don't want anybody to look flat and gross and matte. I think this looks pretty good. If you have any questions or if anything's just not working with your skin, it just isn't working, just email me, text me, or comment down below. And yeah, I think everyone's gonna look fabulous. Thank you, and I will see you in the next video. I'm crazy. Okay, bye. My roommate made me food. Coming in the video. This is my roommate. This is Brianna Green.
Tonight for us we have a taco salad.
Mmm!
I know.
A taco salad? Mm-hmm. Oh my god, it's actually really good.
I know.
How do I look?
You look beautiful.
Well,
How do I look?
Like a redhead.
Yeah, That's so true. Enjoy your salad.
I'm actually gonna enjoy this. Thank you.
Yep.
I like it a lot.
Yes, ma'am.